Hi everyone, this is Balázs from RacingBrick. I'm back with another member of the car transporter gang after the BMW. Coming in March 2026, this is the LEGO Technic 42227 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Before we jump in, I want to briefly circle back to the BMW. There were some very interesting comments under that video, and I realized I might not have expressed myself clearly when talking about that set. So at the end of this video, I will return to the BMW and also share a few thoughts about this licensed Technic scale in general. Since this is not the first Technic Jeep Wrangler LEGO has released, I will also put this one next to the previous version and see what changed. The front of the box shows our Jeep driving through sand, and since it's an off-roader, we don't have the Asphalt Legends collaboration this time. The back shows another angle, the steering feature, engine details, and a photo of the real vehicle. Let's open the box. The set has 723 pieces, the price is €65 or dollars, and it will be available from the 1st of March. For local prices and pre-order options, please check the link below. In the box you will find 5 numbered bags, 5 unnumbered tires, a loose frame, a fairly small sticker sheet and the instructions. The manual repeats the box photos at the end, nothing extra this time. Here's the part list if you are hunting for new elements, and now let's start building. The build begins with this frame and an axle passing through the large ball joint. We add the separate axle and the gear on this side, then connect the two sides below, so this axle eventually drives the red clutch gear and the axle on the other side drives the gears in the middle. Here's the differential. We are using the 4.5 module long axles with stop that we already saw in the BMW. We attach a gear to the differential, connect it to the cross axle through the ball joint, and then add the short links introduced last year. This becomes a nice and compact suspension setup for the rear. So this is how the drivetrain works so far. We also installed the rear shock absorbers and secured them properly in place. This is the front axle. It is steered but not driven. By inserting that blue gear here, we connect it to the steering axle. Here's our compact V6 engine, this time with tiles on top of the pistons. I think that choice was simply a personal preference of the designer. We add 3 A-tooth gears to this assembly, with exposed 3 module long blue pins on both sides. You don't see that very often in official sets. Now it's time to join the two main assemblies. This looks pretty cool, and we lock everything in place with a few pins. The rear shock absorbers are mounted as well. Fun fact, the set includes both yellow and light bluish grey 3 module long cross axles. You will soon see why. The yellow ones are used in this assembly, and once everything is installed, the steering system is complete. The hand-of-God steering is operated using the spare wheel at the back. The first stickered elements are the orange seats. Just like in the 2021 Jeep, we get printed parts for the grille. Let's check the alignment this time. Vertically it looks fine, but the spacing could still be improved. Some of the prints are not properly centered. And here's the reason for the axle color variation. The grey ones are used in the headlights, where the yellow axles would have looked out of place. We add the steering wheel, then move on to the hood with the Rubicon stickers. Unfortunately, the background color of the stickers is visibly darker than the plastic. It really doesn't look good. The bodywork is quite simple so far, mostly beams and panels. We get a small system assembly for a change, but again the darker sticker on a large surface is quite distracting. The bumper lights use visible blue pins. Apparently there wasn't a better alternative here. The front mudguards look familiar, and the rear ones are not reinventing the wheel either. This rear assembly includes a small fun sticker, and yes, there's an actual duck included. We mount the roof, built mostly with connectors, and we get a small rod trick for reinforcement. It slides into a 3 module long pin to stabilize that section. We add the A-pillars, more lights, rear view mirrors, and then a surprising system build, the surfboard, which attaches to that rod on the roof. Finally, we mount the wheels and we are done. So, here is the finished model. A teal Technic set is not very common, but not without precedent. The Aston Martin Valkyrie had lots of teal parts recently, and the race plane a few years ago also used this color. The teal and orange combination works for me, it feels fresh in the Technic lineup. What absolutely doesn't work are the stickers. The color mismatch is very noticeable and looks out of place. If LEGO cannot match the plastic color properly, these elements should be printed or designed differently. I'm honestly surprised licensed partners accept this. And that's a shame because overall the Jeep looks good. I'm not deeply familiar with the exact stock options, but this version looks lifted even for Rubicon. It also looks too wide, so the proportions are a bit cartoonish, but I guess kids will like that. Functionality wise, we have working suspension front and rear, although only the rear axle uses shock absorbers. The hand-of-God steering via the spare wheel is convenient. The rear axle drives the V6 engine through a differential, and the hood opens with a support rod. Plus, of course, we get the dock and the removable surfboard. Stability is mostly fine, apart from the loose rearview mirrors and the A-pillars, which can be pushed in quite easily. So as a standalone set, it's okay. Nothing spectacular in terms of building experience, but I wouldn't call it boring or too simple either. We get a lot of gears and nice mechanical details, but it's not very realistic, as it's only rear-wheel drive. For an off-roader, that's a bit disappointing. But this set doesn't exist in a vacuum. Let's put it next to last year's Ford Bronco and the previous Jeep Wrangler from 2021. Compared to the Bronco, it feels different enough. Different styling, different wheels, different axle setup, they don't feel like siblings. The comparison with the previous Jeep is more complicated. Both are Wranglers. The old one didn't have Rubicon in the name, but it had the stickers, so we can clearly treat this as a re-release. There are many differences, of course. A lot of new parts were introduced in the past 5 years. But there are also remarkable similarities. The printed grille pieces, the headlights, the overall shaping of the front, the hood edge, the fenders, even the wheels. At this scale, there wasn't much room for improvement. Under the hood, though, the new version has an actual engine. The old one only had a sticker representing it. These compact engine parts didn't exist back then. The old Jeep had opening doors and a winch, which are missing here. As I mentioned, the new one is wider and taller, giving it a more aggressive look, but probably less realistic. Still, it's an unusual move from LEGO. We are used to recolors in the Car Transporter Gang lineup, but this is different. Same brand, same model, slightly reworked after 5 years. The Wrangler itself didn't receive a major facelift in that time to justify such a quick comeback. Well, from a kid's perspective, 5 years is a long time. In LEGO City, you get a new fire station every few years, so why not the Jeep Wrangler? But if we are getting an off-roader every few years, why the exact same brand and model? Why not a 4-door version? Why not something like a small-scale Defender? Or even a Gladiator if you want to stick to Jeep? Releasing the same model again feels a bit odd. I hope this doesn't become a regular pattern in Technic. We already have a flood of licensed cars. I don't think people want them recycled again and again with minor updates. Even the surfboard feels familiar. We've seen very similar designs in multiple sets before. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with this set, but if LEGO wants to make an off-roader, why not create something original? Something unbranded, with fewer constraints. Remember that 6-wheeler with a 2-speed gearbox at this scale? That was released just a year after the previous Wrangler. It shows what's possible. So yeah, this is a fine set. Most people will say it looks better than the previous Jeep and it has some decent technical content. But if you already own the older version, I don't see a strong reason to upgrade. Releasing it feels a bit lazy and not as a standalone product but in the bigger picture. Now, let's circle back to the BMW. These two sets share a similar size and price, but the design philosophy is very different. The Jeep looks reasonably accurate. Even if it is slightly too tall and wide, it clearly represents a Wrangler. But there are also distracting elements. The rear axle sticking out from the wheels even with the brand new parts, oversized floppy mirrors, and what people love the most, the color-coded pins everywhere. LEGO can use a different cross-axle color from the inventory if they feel a yellow one would not match the headlights, but they will not give up the color coding of the pins, as that is part of the Technic DNA. And that's exactly why I don't think this Technic scale is suitable for authentic licensed models, yet because they are licensed, people expect authenticity. The Jeep provides a solid building experience with decent technical elements and some nice solutions at this scale thanks to the new parts, but it still feels like a revised version of the previously released model. The BMW, on the other hand, had a brilliant building experience with clever solutions throughout, but visually it's divisive. Many people called it disproportionate, asymmetric or messy, and I understand that. When I said I like the BMW's look, I meant that I respect the effort to recreate such a complex shape within the limits of Technic at this scale. I wasn't judging it as a replica, but as a LEGO build. And here lies the Achilles heel of the Car Transporter Gang. No matter how clever the engineering is, AFOs will judge these sets primarily by accuracy and appearance. Kids probably don't care as much, but most of my commenters are adults and they tend to forget who the target audience is. Technic, especially at this scale, is clearly one of the worst systems for replicating real-life cars. Even smaller speed champion sets often achieve a better look. And this is exactly why I'm not a fan of the flood of licensed vehicles in Technic, because it shifts the focus from Technic values to appearance. Does the set have great mechanical functions? Does it have cool unusual building solutions? It does not matter because people will judge it by its appearance. A Technic set should never ever be about appearance in the first place. Technic is about function, building experience and mechanical solutions. And what will people keep talking about instead when a new set is released? Why are stickers used instead of prints? Why are there colorful parts inside? Why do we see different colored pins? Why is the shaping not accurate? Why do we not have customized rims for every car and so on? None of this was a problem in Technic when it was not pretending to be a scale model theme. So yes, as strange as it may sound, I still prefer the BMW over this Jeep, even though most people will probably say the Jeep looks way better. So folks, let me know what you think of this new Jeep, the look, the functions and your thoughts on the quick reboot of the model. Let's talk about it in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video then please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe with notifications as more exciting LEGO videos are coming soon. See you next time, bye bye.